Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Welcome dear students, myself Dr. Ajay Semalty from HNB Garhwal University, a central university in Srinagar Garhwal. Again welcome you in our series of lectures on Nova degree system. We have discussed uh, basic concept of Nova degree system, targeting, active passive targeting, pulmonary degree systems, and we have discussed the microsphere and GRDDS so far. Now today we are going to discuss a basic concept of solubility with relation to the dissolution, because they are the governing factor when we are designing some node exit systems. So, and this is the answer of our last lecture in which we discussed the rationality of designing the node exit systems. So the rationale for answering that particular rationale, the solubility is one of the most important criteria. So let's discuss this concept. After completing this module, you will be able to, have a clear-cut idea in your mind that what is the concept of solubility, what is the importance of solubility in pre-formulation and formulating the node exit system, concept of pH and pK, interrelation of solubility, pH and pK, you will come to know, and you will be able to improve the solubility by using the methods, and you will be able to characterize the solubility or the different types of solubility. We'll be covering this lecture under the heads concept of solubility, methods of improving solubility, characterization, pH/pK, concept, importance, characterization, and interrelation with respect to the pre-formulation or formulation of NDDS. Now, we often discuss when we are talking about the API that what is the crystallinity, size, and dissolution, the interrelation. Amorphous form of API or the API with small particle size shows better dissolution because the drug is going into the solution. So the going into the solution needs the solubility certain, and the dissolution is solubility and dissolution. They are two most important factors, and it depends on the particle size, because when we are talking about the nanoparticle, we'll be discussing in coming lectures. The solubility and dissolution aspect are completely different there, okay, unlike the other normal size particles. So we will be talking more about the dissolution, because basically the dissolution is desired, okay. Drug needs to go into the solution and then cross the biomembrane for absorption. How? We will see. As in this membrane, there are basically the two compartments, GIT and the systemic circulation. In between them, a semi-permeable membrane is there. How the drug is going? Let's see. This is the drug in the GIT. Then the dissolution occurs. Drug is going into the solution, okay, per unit of time. So it's a function of time. Basically, dissolution is a solubility with a function of time, okay. And then it passes through the biological membrane, which is a permeation step, and immediately followed by the absorption. Let's see. So you got my point, that absorption, permeability, and then absorption, okay, dissolution, permeability, and then absorption. So these are the steps for getting a drug absorbed into the systemic circulation. So let's define the solubility in the basic terms. The extent of solid dissolved in a unit amount of solvent in a certain condition of temperature and pH is called solubility. In general, we know that if you increase the temperature, the solubility is going to increase. It's a function of temperature. Solubility no degree system or in general form no NDDS formulation, minimum requirement of API for pre-formation of any kind of dosage form, that we must know the solubility and pKa of the drug, and this pKa affects the solubility, bioavailability and stability of the overall API in the when you are planning the dosage form or delivery system. But now what is the question, that what is the minimum expected solubility? Drug with water solubility less than 10 mg per ml over the pH range of 1 to 7 at 37 degrees Celsius show the potential viability problem. They have got the potential viability problem. The lower limit below this absorption and bioavailability problem occurs. Of intrinsic dissolution rate, if the intrinsic dissolution rate is 1 mg per centimeter square meter. So lower limit of dissolution rate is, what is the lowest limit? You can say lower limit is 0.1 milligram per centimeter square minute. Again, continuing this question, that limit of solubility is 1 milligram per ml. If solubility is less than 1 milligram per ml, then you will have to go for the solubility improvement. So you may have the various approaches like salt form. So required solubility is 1 to 10 milligram per ml in general. So we go for the salt form like this. Like in the case of neutral molecule, glycoside, steroids, alcohol, or for API which have pKa, acid dissolution constant, less than 3 for a base or greater than 10 for an acid. If salt form is not possible, then we go for liquid filling in the soft or hard gelatin capsules. It remains the option only. Okay, when salt form is not there. These are the two basic strategies for dosage form. However, in delivery system, we can manipulate the thing in many ways. Okay. Now see the solubility in acid compared to the aqueous solution. Second column you are seeing solubility in base compared to the aqueous solubility. Then the nature of drug is decided on these two factors, and need of form, what kind of salt form, which kind of drug form is desired. So if solubility in acid compared to aqueous solubility increases while it remains unchanged in the base, then it is a weak base. So pKa can be measured in these cases and salt should be formed. So salt preparation for improving the solubility is the option, or you can say is the approach. While if this case is vice versa, opposite, then it is weak acid and pKa can be measured, salt should be formed here. And if it is increasing in both the cases, in acid as well as in base, then certainly the nature of the drug is amphoteric or deuterionic. So it will have the 2 pKa. If it is not affecting at all, then certainly it is a neutral molecule and no measurable pK, or the solubility manipulation is done only by the solvent or complexation in this case. Salt formation, if we discuss that the less soluble salt are intentionally used for specific reasons sometimes. For example, that masking the taste, like in case of chloramphenicol palmitate. It is less bitter as compared to the chloramphenicol. So we use this salt. Or protecting the parent drug from excessive degradation in the gut, like erythromycin propionate. Or for having the sustained release effect, propranolol laurate. So there might be, it is not mandatory. We will call it manipulation or modulation of solubility. Not always the improvement is desired. When we are planning the NDDS, we have to remember that not always the solubility increase is required. Actually, solubility modulation or manipulation is required when you are preparing for the NDDS. Again, taking a case study, that reducing the solubility. In the case of propranolol, a drug which is generally very high first pass metabolism is associated with this drug, the hydrophobic laurate counterion was selected in order to reduce the aqueous solubility and dissolution rate, thereby sustaining its release. When tested in dogs, the laurate salt resulted in improved bioavailability compared to the hydrochloride salt. In comparison of the propanol hydrochloride, the propanol laurate salt showed the sustained release effect. Okay, so for the sustained release, you will use the laurate salt. Okay, that as compared to the propanol hydrochloride. So we always have the three approaches: stable, effective, and safe. So these are the selection criteria for suitable salt form. But the efficacy doesn't vary salt to salt of a parent drug until dosage is increased very highly. Efficacy, there is not much change in efficacy, okay, when we are changing the salt. Biopharmaceutical properties like dissolution rate, onset of action, duration of action, concentration at particular site, Cmax, Tmax, and stability, they vary with the salt selection. Efficacy is not going to change. Okay, so always remember that only the biopharmaceutical properties are those which are going to change. The percent use of salt, if you see in as a quick overview, in pharma industry, the maximum salt use is this sodium salt with 62%, okay, followed by hydrochloride salt, and then calcium salt, potassium sulfate, and then maleate salt, as you can see in this table. Now let's discuss how we can improve the solubility or modulate the solubility. We can use the co-solvent, which is desired in many cases, okay, like ethanol, propanol, or the co-solvents can be used. Hydrotrophy methods can be used, okay, which make the drug hydrotrophs. Okay, by addition of a polar group, a prodrug can be prepared which will be having a improved solubility, or use of a solid solution we can employ. Solid dispersants, okay, when the two solids are put together and they form a bed of a composite which have the better solubility, okay, you can say PCM urea, paracetamol with urea, paracetamol with PEG, we put together with them, and Maltons, we just triturate them, they become the solid dispersants. So solid dispersants are very good and very simple to prepare for improving the solubility. Eutectic mixture are there when the two components are put together, their melting point is reduced, their mixture's melting point is less, so that eutectic mixtures are also the approaches. Micronization, particle size reduction, is a very popular approach, but it is not, remember that it is not always the case that the particle size reduction will lead to the improving of solubility, because it depends on the nature of drug, okay, that if you are decreasing the particle size, whether the solubility will increase or not, it depends on nature of drug. Now, using of surfactants improve the solubility. Alteration of pH of solvent, we can alter the pH of solvent which favors the higher solubility. Use of solubility or use of suitable crystal form for metastable polymorph. The metastable polymorph have the more solubility as compared to the stable one. Solvate formation can be done. Solvate or hydrate may be prepared. Selective absorption of insoluble carrier may be done. And two more important aspects are complexation, either cyclodextrin complexation or phospholipid complexation. Both these kind of complexation we are going to discuss in the two separate lectures. Cyclodextrin complexes and phospholipid complexes both make a amphoteric complex, which or you could say amphiphilic complex, which shows good solubility as well as good permeability. So by using these various strategies which you might have studied also in the biopharmaceutics, that's why we are not going to deal in detail in each and every aspect, otherwise it would have taken another complete 1 hour maybe on discussing these things. But you just have to pinpoint each and every approach with the example. From exam point of view, it is very important that even a if a short answer, short question is there, you will have to enumerate all these strategies with suitable example of each and every category. Okay. Now we'll be discussing the intrinsic solubility. What does it mean? Solubility of a pure weak acid in acid and pure weak basic drug in alkali is called intrinsic solubility and denoted by SO. It is the fundamental solubility when completely unionized, when an API is completely ionized. The solubility should be measured at two temperatures, 4 degrees Celsius and 37 4 degrees Celsius, for ensuring the physical stability and extending short-term storage and chemical stability, and for 37 degrees Celsius for supporting the biopharmaceutical properties at body temperature. So these two temperatures entering solubility must be calculated. Now, how you can calculate the intrinsic solubility? The solubility of the pure form is determined by phase solubility study. Remember this term, phase solubility study, and with the help of a phase solubility diagram, you can say. In the solubility study, in this phase solubility study, we develop a phase diagram. Okay, the amount of drug to the amount of dissolving solvent is varied and solubility noted and recorded in this method. This is the simple fundamental principle of this study. Impurities, either generally if impurity is there when you are taking the API for the very first time for developing the dosage form or delivery system, you don't know much about that because you don't know the actual solubility of a drug. So impurity will be there. So impurity may increase or decrease the solubility. So impurity form give a non-horizontal curve which intersects the y-axis. At this figure you can see that if impurities are there, if self-association there, impurities are there, complexion or solubilization by impurity is there, the upper curve is there, which is ascending curve is there, and if there are common ions are there, sorting out effect is there, suppression of solubility occurs in those cases, and the downward curve will be there. However, they will intersect the y-axis at a particular point, which is the actually the solubility of pure, and you can say where there is no interaction. So pure solubility we can achieve with the this impure component solubility in different ratios. So solubility of the pure form of API can be determined from the impure form available at the time of pre-formulation stage, and it is also used for complexation, for when you are making two components put together, whether the one component is there, two components. You can say that impurity is a different component in the case of NDDS. So how the polymer or the drug polymer or the other component will behave in the certain ratios, how their solubility is going to behave. So we will do the solubility phase solubility study for the NDDS when they are the two components we are going to compare, that how they will behave and how they are going to change the solubility. So we do study the phase solubility. Say for example, when you are preparing the drug cyclodextrin complex, so one component will be drug, second will be cyclodextrin. So we will be varying, keeping the drug constant, we will be varying the cyclodextrin in the same amount of component. The ratio and the phase solubility will be determined, and we will have an idea that which ratio of the drug and cyclodextrin is showing the maximum solubility increase. Okay. So as you know very well, that solubility definition classification as per IP and USP, that their description very soluble to insoluble is there. Parts of solvent required for one part of solute. So very soluble less than 1, freely soluble 1 to 10, soluble 10 to 30, sparingly soluble 30 to 100, and slightly soluble 100 to 1000, very slightly soluble 1000 to 10,000, and insoluble more than 10,000. So this table you must learn. It is important not only with respect to your exam point of view, but also with respect to your GPAT examination if you are trying to crack the GPAT examination. Okay, and it is asked many times in the theory as well as in the practical exam, the solubility criteria as per the official classification of IP or USP. Measuring solubility, however, it is a very basic thing that you will have to add the excess amount of solute in a certain amount of solvent at a specific temperature and pH, and allow the solution to be agitated, stirred overnight to establish the equilibrium. Then after the overnight stirring, you centrifuge or filter the sample and analyze spectrophotometrically or by some other means for knowing the concentration or the solubility. So by this way you can have you can determine the solubility. So what is the importance of pH in pre-formulation? Injections should be in the range of pH to 3 to 9 to prevent the tissue damage and pain at injection site. Oral seller cannot be formulated in too acidic pH for palatability reasons, and more alkali content may attack the glass container. So the stability issue may be there with respect to the drug and packaging component compatibility will be, it will be aggravated when the container is leaching out, the alkali is leaching out of the glass container and it is, making or changing the overall, complete formulation of product stability it is affecting. So the pH plays a very crucial role. The pH of formation must be in tune with the site of application. For example, the pH for for buccal application for the delivery system must be in the range of the pH of the delivery system must be in the range of pH 6.6 to 6.8. GIT shows a variety of pH. In buccal 6.6 is there, stomach 1.2, duodenum 6.8, and the small intestine is 7 to 8 ranging. pK ionization constant. Strong acids like hydrochloride are ionized at all pH values, whereas the ionization of weak acid is dependent on pH. So pH and pK are closely related. Okay. The relationship of pH and pK, you can see here that if a acid is there, HA basically it is in equilibrium with the positive and negative ion in the acid and as well as in the base. They are in the strong acid and base, they are completely ionized. How strong an acid is determined by acid dissociation constant. Smaller the acid base dissociation constant, weaker the acid or base. Okay, as you can see in this, we see that for a weak acid, it is ratio of the two ions from the unionized moieties, and bigger the K, stronger the acid. For weak base, again this thing is there, as you can see for the Kb. For Kb we can denote the sodium plus OH minus divided by the unionized moiety. While in Henderson-Hasselbalch equation, you have heard it, you have read it. I'm just reminding it, not going into the detail. It defines the ratio of two species, unionized and unionized, unionized and ionized. So we know that pK is negative logarithm of acid dissociation constant and pH is the negative logarithm of hydrogen ion concentration. For weak acid, pH is equal to pK plus log A minus HA, and for weak bases you can see equation 3. And it should also be noted that usually pKa values are preferred for bases instead of pKb values. So we just give the pK values. However, for bases pKb value can be given, but we represent it only by the pKa. So for weak bases, you can write this equation in the way that pH is equal to pK plus log B upon BH plus. Okay. How we can use this HH equation, Henderson-Hasselbalch equation, to determine the acid dissociation constant with change in solubility, to predict the solubility at a pH if this original concentration and pK are known, or you can say the intrinsic solubility, you can say CO. Sometimes it is written CO, sometimes it is in SO. So acid dissociation constant and this intrinsic solubility, if it is known, we can predict the solubility. To select suitable salt and its properties like pH and solubility, pH is equal to pK plus log negative ion divided by unionized moiety. In the equation, when an acid is exactly half ionized of this unionized moiety, then pK is equal to pH. So for acid, a pH below the pK enhances the absorption, while for bases, a pH above the pK enhances the absorption. So this is the basic concept, that how pH, pK and absorption is interrelated. Okay. So relating the pH, pK and solubility, as we can see that pH, the relationship between pH and solubility and pK value of an acid drug is given by the modified HH equation. which can be represented as you can see here, that pH is equal to pK plus log S minus SO upon SO, where O is the solubility of ionized form, that is intrinsic solubility. And the equation provides the minimum pH that must be maintained to avoid the precipitation of weak acid. In the same way, you can write the equation for the weak bases. Now, how we can determine the acid dissociation constant? pK values may be determined by potentiometric titration, UV spectroscopy, solubility measurement, HPLC techniques, capillary zone electrophoresis, foaming activity. So by these methods we can calculate the pK. Please recall from your biopharmaceutical aspects. You will certainly you will be able to certainly recall them. However, with respect to NDDS, they are not much required in detail, but you must know. Okay. But the pK value provides the valuable data. What kind of valuable data it is going to provide? On the interaction of the ionizable drug, it will provide the information on where the drug may be absorbed in the GIT. You may have the idea when the pK is known to know how much to alter the pH. How much the pH manipulation is required to drive a compound to its fully ionized or non-ionized form. For analytical and other purposes such as formulation, solubility, stability, we must have an idea of the pK. So that's why to study the acid dissociation constant is utmost required for any kind of formulation. These are some of the further reading and references. So you may go ahead, because the topics must be read in detail. If you want the clarification, you can go ahead with any standard text. So, dear friends, let me remind you what we have learned so far. Solubility is one of the most important criteria in the, or you can say the basic criteria when we are studying the pre-formulation or when we are going for the formulation perspectives. And nature of drug is very important, and on the basis of nature of drug only when we can select a strategy to improve a solubility. Okay, so we have discussed that in which condition salt form is desired and in which condition other strategies are required, and what are various strategies to improve the solubility. We have just given a burst overview of all those strategies. You can go ahead with your biopharmaceutical text for the detail. However, from some strategies which we are going to deal in detail in coming lectures, and it must be noted that GIT shows a variety of pH depending on the acid dissociation constant, that pK. Drug may be charged or uncharged in different regions and its absorption, and hence the bioavailability may vary. So pH, pK, solubility, dissolution, all we are studying because we want better absorption. So our aim is to improve the absorption and the bioavailability. So how we can do that? Or how we can alter the biopharmaceutical properties sometimes, because we need to sustain this effect. So we will select a particular salt which will have a lower solubility as compared to the parent drug. Okay, we have given the example of propranolol. Okay, so just mention the examples wherever desired to support your approach or discussion. Solubility along with the pH, pK put together govern the drug release. So it is about the changing the drug release, modulating the release as per the requirement of your drug release system. So far we have discussed this aspect, and in our next lecture we will be continuing this discussion with respect to the dissolution and biopharmaceutical classification system. We will be discussing these aspects and in trying to interrelate these things, solubility aspect with the permeability, dissolution, and then we will be discussing the biopharmaceutical classification system or drug, BCS. Hope you have enjoyed the lecture. Please learn the examples of each and every category from exam point of view. Thank you for being with us. We'll be back with our lecture on the BCS and dissolution in the next lecture. Thank you for being with us. Happy learning.